In this presentation, we will examine paranormal, or supernatural phenomena that have been observed in our world. This is part 1 of a 2-part series, to examine the nature of aliens, cryptids and demons. We will now describe the sources, which have inspired the creation of this presentation. Our first source of reference is the Bible. We believe that the Bible is the truth of God, that was given to us to understand what God requires from us in this life. We will refer back to the Bible, to help clarify reports of interactions and observations, by people who had experiences with the extraterrestrial. Our second source of reference is the book, Alien Encounters, by Chuck Missler and Mark Eastman. Missler and Eastman are suspicious of aliens, and believe that they are actually demons. Our third source is the series on the History Channel, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. We will examine how the recorded paranormal activity makes sense in the bigger picture. Our fourth source is the Missing in Alaska series on the History Channel. This series explores people who went missing in Alaska, and so-called cryptid animals who may have been responsible for these unexplained disappearances. Our last source is the book series Missing 411, by David Paulides. David has done a lot of research into cases of people who went missing, of which there is no logical explanation of how it happened. Next we will examine the different realms, and those who are in control of those realms, and what kind of technologies they use. The first realm is the earthly realm, which is controlled by people. It is also inhabited by animals, who are under the control of people. God gave dominion to people over animals. This can be found in Genesis 1 verse 26. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." The first technology of the earthly realm that we will discuss is energy. Energy was discovered when fire was discovered. It can keep us cool in summer, warm in winter, be used to transport ourselves or goods to other places, and it is a major requirement in manufacturing processes. This brings us to manufacturing technologies, which are used to create many products that we require to live in our world of today. We create designs and use many different tools and processes to create these products. Communication technologies are used to connect people all across the globe. People keep in touch with loved ones, and businesses rely on these technologies to make business deals and contracts, and to define the various needs required to make those deals and close the contracts. Communication technologies have become a vital part of our day-to-day existence. Medical technologies have been developed to enable us to take care of injuries and illnesses. Medical technologies are credited to have saved the lives of millions of people, and to prolong life for most of us, who take advantage of those technologies. We also have developed transportation technologies, which can be utilized to transport ourselves or products over long distances. Electronics were developed when the radio was discovered, and it led to the further development of many new electronic devices. Electronic devices were used to design and develop many other products that we are using today. Computers were developed from electronics. Computers are different from purpose-made electronic devices, because they can be programmed to perform many different functions. Most industries are using computers today. The next realm that we will discuss is the spiritual realm and its technologies. The spiritual realm is controlled by Satan, and inhabited by demons and unclean spirits. We know that Satan and his angels do not have access to heaven anymore, because his access was revoked when he went to battle with the Archangel Michael. In Revelation 12 verses 7 to 9, we read, "Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him." From this verse, we can conclude that the spiritual realm is the part of the heavenly realm that is not in heaven, but on earth. Thus, the spiritual realm has access to all of the knowledge and technologies that we have on the earthly realm, since ancient times. In addition, there are probably a lot more technologies available in our spiritual realm that we are completely unaware of. The first technology for Satan and his demons is travel. We know that Satan visited the earth, and that he was looking to cause trouble for people. In the book of Job, chapter 1 verse 7, we read, "The Lord said to Satan, 'Where have you come from?' Satan answered the Lord, 'From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it.'" We also know that Satan rules from the air. In Ephesians 2 verse 2, we read, "In which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient." We can only conclude that Satan must have devices which he and his demons use when they visit the earth from the air, and that we as people are not able to fully understand the technologies used in those devices. We can only refer to these devices as UFOs at this time. In future times to come, it may be possible that Satan will share some of those technologies with humans, to meet his main goal, which is to deceive as many people as possible. The second demonic technology is transformation technology. It may be better understood as shape-shifting abilities. Demons can transform themselves into people in disguise, animals or even angels of light, when they come into the earthly realm. In Genesis 3 verse 1, we read, "Now, the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, 'Did God really say, you must not eat from any tree in the garden?' The serpent who deceived Eve was Satan in disguise." We know that this is true if we read Revelation 12 verse 9. "The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him." We also know that Satan can transform himself and his servants into angels or people. In 2 Corinthians 11 verse 14 and 15, we read, "And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. It is not surprising, then, if his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness. Their end will be what their actions deserve." The third technology from the spiritual realm is vision technology. Using this technology, Satan and his demons can cause us to see into places or situations that may not exist, or have vivid dreams to lead us astray. We can read in Ezekiel 13, about false prophets who saw visions that were not true. Those visions were obviously not from God, but from Satan. Let us read Ezekiel 13 verses 15 and 16. "So, I will pour out my wrath against the wall and against those who covered it with whitewash. I will say to you, the wall is gone and so are those who whitewashed it. Those prophets of Israel who prophesied to Jerusalem, and saw visions of peace for her when there was no peace, declares the sovereign Lord." The fourth technology from the spiritual realm is mind control. There are 3 different categories of mind control. The first category is behavioral mind control. This is also known as behavioral brainwashing, which is implemented in 3 steps. A current example is how Western civilization was brainwashed to accept homosexuality and transgenderism. The first step was the normalization of homosexual behavior. Popular television shows introduced homosexual characters, who were nicer, smarter and funnier than normal people in these shows. Once homosexual behavior was normalized, the second step was introduced, which is jamming. This means that people questioning homosexuality were associated to unacceptable deplorables that most people do not want to be associated with, like white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan, and Nazis. The third step was conversion, in which people either become homosexual, or they will defend homosexuality. All 3 of these steps were successfully implemented into Western society by Hollywood. The second category of mind control is programmed mind control, which is a very intrusive kind of brainwashing. This is a regular subject of many spy movies. Using drugs and hypnosis, a person gets programmed to be activated using some code phrase. From outside, the person appears to be a normal person, but once activated, they become a lethal assassin, who ends up killing somebody. After that, the programmed person either kills themselves, or they return back to their normal life. The third category of mind control is absolute mind control, which is also known as demonic possession. Demons sometimes exercise absolute mind control over a person, in which they can make the person do anything. The person can be controlled to do embarrassing things, and sometimes even commit murder. It is already known from declassified documents that behavioral and programmed mind control has been studied by governments. It is rumored that these programs are all still ongoing, and there are also current programs, of which the main goal is to study absolute mind control. An example of demons who were in absolute control of people is found in Matthew 8 verses 28 and 29. When he arrived at the other side in the region of the Gadarenes, 2 demon-possessed men coming from the tombs met him. They were so violent that no one could pass that way. "What do you want with us, Son of God?" they shouted. "Have you come here to torture us, before the appointed time?" The next 2 demonic technologies that we identified are portals and teleportation. The distinction between portals and teleportation is that a portal is a device through which a person or object can be teleported to another similar device, from one destination to another. Teleportation without a portal is a more advanced technology, where a person or object can be teleported from one destination to another, with an independent external device. Portals are similar to the stargates from the movie and television series, Stargate. Teleportation is similar to the beam me up Scotty phenomenon in Star Trek. We will now read Revelation 18 verse 2. With a mighty voice he shouted, "Fallen! Fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling for demons and a haunt for every impure spirit, a haunt for every unclean bird, a haunt for every unclean and detestable animal." We do not have a clear verse that points to demons having portals. However, in this verse, it is clear that Babylon became the habitation of demons and impure spirits. It means that demons and impure spirits will have easy access to both the land, as well as their place in the spiritual realm. They will have an easy way to enter or exit the earth, which implies that they may in fact have a portal through which they can travel back and forth. We will now look at a verse that implies that teleportation is also real. This happened where Elijah was taken into heaven. In 2 Kings 2 verse 11 we read, "As they were walking along and talking together, Suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them, and Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind. We conclude that Elijah disappeared, because he was physically teleported. We also believe that demons have access to the same technologies. The next technology from the spiritual realm is observation technology. Like peeping toms, demons can see everything we do, and they are always watching. Is it possible that they may even display sinful behavior on a big screen in the spiritual realm, as entertainment? We, as human beings, may have privacy between ourselves, but we have no privacy before demons, angels or God. In Job 1 verses 8 to 10 we read, "Then the Lord said to Satan, Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, he is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied, "Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land." From this dialogue between God and Satan, we know that both God and Satan can see everything we do. Satan was obviously looking for something that Job would do wrong, but he couldn't find anything. God was looking at Job, and delighted in his righteousness, while Satan was disappointed that God was delighted with Job. Both God and Satan could see everything that Job did. Thought control is similar to mind control, but it is different. With thought control, the spiritual realm can plant thoughts into a person's head. A person may even perceive those thoughts as his or her own thoughts. Some people may recognize that these thoughts are not from themselves, and become distressed because of it. Others may think they are very smart for thinking about certain things, and may never know that some thoughts came from the spiritual realm. It may even be possible that these thoughts are not obviously sinful, but in fact may be good solutions to difficult issues. In Matthew 4 verses 3 and 4, we read, "The tempter came to him and said, If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. Jesus answered, It is written, Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." We will also read Matthew 26 verse 41. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." This means that the tempter is Satan, and that he, and his demons, can speak to us, when he tempts us to do wrong. The way that Satan and his demons accomplish all of this, is with thought control. The spiritual realm also has advanced cloaking technology. Demons have ways to make themselves, as well as their crafts, invisible to some people, and visible to others, all at the same time. Because demons are fallen angels, we will look at an example of an angel who used this kind of technology. An example is found in Numbers 22, where Balaam could not see the angel of the Lord, but his donkey could see it. The donkey turned away from the angel 3 times, which saved Balaam's life. In Numbers 22 verses 31 to 33, we read, "Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with his sword drawn. So he bowed low and fell face down. The angel of the Lord asked him, Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? I have come here to oppose you because your path is a reckless one before me. The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If it had not turned away, I would certainly have killed you by now, but I would have spared it." We will conclude that a demon, just like an angel, can make itself visible or invisible to any person, using some advanced cloaking technology. The last technology from the spiritual realm that we have identified is genetic engineering. We will now read Genesis 6 verse 4. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. From this verse, we can derive that the sons of God, or angels who were created directly by God, had children with human women. We will also read Matthew 22 verses 29 to 32. Jesus replied, "You are in error because you do not know the Scriptures or the power of God. At the resurrection people will neither marry nor be given in marriage, they will be like the angels in heaven. But about the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what God said to you? I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob? He is not the God of the dead but of the living." From all of these verses, we can conclude that angels cannot have children, and that people will become like angels when resurrected. We will reconcile this with Genesis 6 verse 4, because we believe that these angels use genetic engineering, possibly DNA splicing, to become fathers of children with women. Another way to reconcile these two verses could be that an angel can transform himself into a man, who can have a child with a woman. The next group of technologies will be heavenly technologies. Heavenly technologies are used in the heavenly realm. Jesus is in charge of the heavenly realm, and he is in charge of all heavenly beings. We believe that heavenly beings have access to all technologies from both earth and the spiritual realm, but that genetic engineering is avoided, because it is against God's will. The only additional technology that we could identify that is used by angels is that they can travel in heaven, because they have a place in heaven. The last group of technologies will be godly technologies in the godly realm. The godly realm is referred to as the throne of God. We have only identified two technologies, but we are certain that God has access to any imaginable technology and much, much more. The first technology that we know that God uses is creation technology. We believe that creation technology is actually made up of many other unknown technologies, which we can't even comprehend. In Genesis 1 verses 1 and 2, we read, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." From this we know that God created the heavens and earth. We can also conclude that God existed before creation, and that God exists in a godly realm, rather than in the heavenly realm. The second technology that we also know about is life technology, which God uses to create life. Life is so much more complex than only living cells, and only God can create life. Evolutionists obviously disagree, but we believe that the Bible is the truth of God. God created the first life, that was vegetation, on the third day. In Genesis 1 verses 11 through 13, we read, "Then God said, Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds. And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day. On the fifth day, God created all water creatures and birds." In Genesis 1 verses 20 through 23, we read, "And God said, Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living thing with which the water teems and that moves about in it, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. God then created other animals and mankind on the sixth day. In Genesis 1 verses 24 through 27, we read, "And God said, Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image, in the image of God he created them, male and female he created them. Now that we have concluded what we believe the Bible says about supernatural technologies, we will keep those in mind when we take a look at the other sources that were used to inspire this presentation. The first source is the book Alien Encounters by Chuck Missler and Mark Eastman. We will focus only on the following arguments from this book. This book contains a lot of information, which may be relevant or not, to what we have already discussed. We agree with the following arguments. We agree that UFOs are supernatural craft. In most cases, we believe that UFOs are operated by demons. Some UFOs may be operated by angels. This coincides with point number 8 for earthly travel, on the technology table on the left. We also agree that UFOs have visited the Earth since ancient times, because heaven was created before Earth, and heavenly beings were also created before the Earth. It was also pointed out by supporters of the ancient aliens theory, that UFOs are present in centuries-old paintings, and sometimes in ancient glyphs. We further agree that so-called aliens are in fact demons. This is supported by the reported demonic behavior of aliens, like channeling messages to people, and then promoting the anti-Christian New Age doctrine. They are using all of the technologies from number 8 to 17, in the technology table on the left. We also believe that demons are masquerading as aliens, and they have an agenda to create alien-human hybrids. It may be possible that they are also creating hybrids between animals and humans, and between animals and themselves. We absolutely agree that demons are deceiving many of us, that they are living beings who evolved on other planets, across the entire galaxy. We also know that demons have been deceiving humans into believing that they are gods, since ancient times. Our next source of inspiration is the series, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, and an article published in the Science Edge magazine. It started with the millionaire Robert Bigelow, who bought the ranch in 1996. Bigelow hired a team of scientists to research the paranormal phenomena that was reported. Bigelow also involved the government, to get funding from taxpayers. In 2016, the millionaire Brandon Fugel bought the farm, and he did the same thing as Bigelow. A deal was made with the History Channel, to produce the series The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. The reason for doing this, is possibly to get help from the History Channel, to fund the experiments conducted by the scientific team. The secondary purpose of the series is probably, to raise enough people's interest in UFOs and other supernatural phenomenon. This is most likely to prepare for another attempt to request involvement of the government, which means more taxpayers' money for this kind of research. The scientist Colm Kelleher published an article in the Edge Science magazine, on some troubling events experienced by the scientists employed by Bigelow on Skinwalker Ranch. We will take a look at this article. We will now look at the revelations for Season 3 of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. The first revelation is that multiple UAP phenomena were caught on camera, some of them possibly UFOs. One of the cows died unexplainably. On camera, it appears that a possible UFO was involved in harassing the cow before its death. Using drones and specialized technology, a 3D model was created of the entire ranch. In certain places, unexplainable structures appeared in the model. The hacking of phones and other electronic devices by some external forces was experienced. The unexplainable shutdown of computers running the software named Osiris. Osiris was meant to analyze rockets that were fired into an anomaly area. Unexplainable and sudden radiation from an unknown source was detected in several instances. Unexplainable orbs were caught on camera. These orbs are also experienced in other supernatural events, of which some events are undeniably caused by demonic activity. The reason why millionaires, scientists and the History Channel keep investigating this ranch is because of the staggering rewards that can potentially be gained. We will now list a few of the potential rewards, which may be obtained through studying these phenomena, or by making a deal with demons. The first reward could be potential advanced cloaking technology. Obviously, there are invisible forces at work. An example is that if this technology can be gained, armies can go invisible to their enemies, but not to themselves. The enemies can't see an army using this technology. This technology can also be used by individuals as well as groups of people, in spying, assassinations and other nefarious activities. The second reward could be potential energy shielding technology, which was observed when rockets were deflected by something that was not visible to the naked eye. The third reward could be portal technology. This could potentially eliminate ships, airplanes and any other means of transportation across the entire world. The fourth reward may be advanced teleportation technology. This is possibly the most powerful of all technologies yet. With advanced teleportation, one can do all of the following. Teleport all the gold out of Fort Knox into your own basement. Teleport an unwanted president, or any other person for that matter, to the moon, or the sun, to the bottom of the ocean, or somewhere deep in space. Teleport a nuclear bomb into somebody's backyard and detonate it. If you don't have a nuclear bomb, you can just steal it from somebody, by teleporting it away from them. The possibilities for nefarious activity using advanced teleportation simply boggles the mind. The next possible reward could be exotic communication technology. This will be a means of communication that is superior to communicating through radio waves. We believe that exotic communication signals can instantaneously travel across the entire galaxy, compared to radio waves, which will take potentially billions of years to travel over the same distance. Exotic tracking technology can link to a person's mind, and always tracks a person. If this technology is acquired by humans, then there will be no privacy for anybody ever again. It can also be used by a GPS-like device, which can be tracked across the entire universe and possibly over realms. We believe that portals are using this kind of technology to enable demons to travel from other realities into our realm. It appears that anti-gravity technology is used by some invisible structures, and the so-called anomaly in the sky. Anti-gravity technology will allow us to build craft in any shape or form, which could use anti-gravity to travel, or to indefinitely hover in a fixed position in the sky. Advanced UAP and UFO technology. Some UAP appears to be like advanced drones, that are used to survey the environment, or to perform some action within the environment, to keep people from figuring out any of the above-mentioned technologies. UFOs may be built using even more technologies than we could identify here. Throughout all episodes of the entire show, we also have observed possible mind reading, as well as thought and possibly even mind control experienced by team members. Imagine how dangerous this technology can be in the hands of anybody. The 10th potential reward could be, to gain hold of the technology which can identify the use of electronic devices being used by a group of people, and then to interfere or interrupt the working of those devices, without using any radio waves. We can only imagine how powerful this technology can be in the hands of almost anybody. We will examine 2 points from Colm Kelleher's article in the Science Edge magazine. He wrote about the experience at Skinwalker Ranch, while working for Bigelow. The first point he made is about the hitchhiker effect. We now quote, "This feeling of bringing something home, and the subsequent person-to-person transmissibility of paranormal phenomena, some of which can last for years, has been named the hitchhiker effect. This simply means that everybody who worked at Skinwalker Ranch experienced supernatural events after they went home, which was sometimes more than 1,000 miles from Skinwalker Ranch. This also results in physical illnesses which range from acute neurological injuries to chronic blood disease." The next point is models of contagion. This means that their spouses and children also experience these supernatural effects, and after that, this also extended further to friends of the family. This included sightings of wolfman creatures, which appears to be demonic by nature. Our next source of inspiration is the series, Missing in Alaska on the History Channel. This series explores people who went missing, and some creatures that may have been responsible for having taken those missing people. The series explored some fascinating creatures. We are going to mention only a few of these many creatures. The so-called bear god, which is said to be a gigantic bear, which kills people for food. The hairy man, which is a Bigfoot or Sasquatch, which is much bigger than a regular Sasquatch. The series attributes a missing car driver to having been taken by the hairy man. It left blood behind, which suggests that the man was possibly killed to be eaten. From the gigantic to the micro. Gnomes, which are known as ice gnomes, who are rumored to abduct children in Alaska. Then we have mutant monkeys, who supposedly also killed and possibly ate some people, who went missing. All of the above creatures are referred to as cryptids. It appears that demonic forces and technologies may be at work in Alaska. Many more creatures and phenomena were investigated in this series. It paints Alaska as a very mysterious and dangerous place. 5 in 1,000 people go missing every year in Alaska, never to be seen again. There is in most cases no logical explanation of what really happened to these people. If these cryptid creatures are real, then it may be possible that demons are using either transformation, or genetic engineering technologies, or a combination of both technologies, to present those creatures to people. Although it is a fascinating series, there are a few issues with this type of series. The first issue is, there is not any convincing proof that any of these cryptid creatures are real. No carcass or any bones has been found to date, to prove that any of these creatures actually exists. The issue with footprints and footprint casts is that even if a scientist believes it to be real, most people can be convinced to be skeptical when somebody points at anything plausible that challenges the credibility of this kind of evidence. Sometimes these supposed creatures leave footprints, but sometimes they leave no evidence that they were there at all. There should be bodily excrement all over the area, as can be found by other natural animals, that should be identifiable as belonging to such a creature. Unfortunately, not much is found that seems to be convincing. With video and photo editing tools available to everybody today, there is automatic skepticism by most people toward photos and videos of such creatures. The next issue is that eyewitnesses describe a huge ferocious creature that is supposedly known to have eaten people before. However, the creature does not attack, and the person survives to tell others about it. If the creature is so huge and ferocious, should it not need to eat a lot of food, and always be hungry? How is that they will allow people to get away, when they obviously know that people are weak and slow? For the series, is it possible that some deception may have taken place in some cases? For example, is it possible that a bait animal that disappeared from a trap without trace may have been carefully removed by somebody from the production crew? We do not accuse any of the participants of anything, but we just want to point out that such a thing may be possible. Our last source of inspiration for this presentation is the book series Missing 411 by David Paulides. David is an ex-law enforcement officer. David decided to investigate strange and mysterious disappearances of people. In the Missing 411 series, David wrote about the disappearances of many people all over the world, where the details simply do not add up. Most of these missing people have never been found. Some of these missing persons were found. Many were found in places that were extensively searched before, or in totally unexpected places. David has researched many mysterious disappearances, and found many similarities between them. Those similarities that David identified were named the Missing 411 profile points. As of today, David still does not have a theory on who or what caused all of these disappearances. This concludes part 1 of our video series on aliens, cryptids and demons. Please also watch our final analysis of aliens, cryptids and demons in part 2. We thank you for watching this video.